Hey everyone, I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you're having a fabulous day today. It is beautiful, cold but beautiful out today. So we're going to make some cards and then I'm going to go out and enjoy some sunshine and hopefully warm up a little bit. Today we're going to make a joy fold card and I'm going to use some of the brand new online exclusive products. Yes, November 4th, there was a whole new release of online exclusives and we are going to play with some of those today. So let me take a moment to turn down the camera and I'll show you how to make a really cute card. See you in a second. Oh my goodness, look at these products we're using today. So our colors are going to be Cherry Cobbler and Old Olive, and I'm going to show you a couple ways to color our image. So I pulled the Stampin' Blends and the ink pads, and we are going to use, look at this, brand new products that came out November 4th. These are online exclusives, Pop-Up Petals and the coordinating dies. Love these. They're so cute. These are great for spring, for summer, for fall, all year round. So love, love, love these. I love the dies because look at the dies. So you've got two-step stamps. You can color these stamps in with your Stampin' Blends, or you can use the coordinating background stamps to just stamp the colors. And we're going to do both and see which one you like the best. But then let me show you the dies. So the dies cut out all of the images in the stamps, but they've also added these panels here, these 4 pieces. And what these are is an ability, a way to die cut little boxes to pop out of the inside of your card. So you can use these little boxes, you build them, here's the little tabs, to make these little planters that will pop out of the middle of your card for you to put your flower arrangements in. So this set of dies here you will use these for so many different cards all year long, and you can coordinate these with other stamps that you have that are flowers as well. So I like the thought process that they did when they created this bundle of products. So that's what we're going to use. We're also going to be using the Exposed Brick 3D embossing folder. I like this folder because it gave some more texture, because I wanted to use some paper that I haven't used in a long time. So we're using our Early Espresso Old Olive and Basic White, and there's nothing new about that. But I wanted to pull out this paper. I don't use this often enough, but I really like it. This is the Need for Tweed 12 by 12 paper, and it's got 4 designs, double-sided, so 8 designs, and it's all of these different tweed patterns, and they're really kind of funky and cool, and I haven't used them that much, so I wanted to pull them out and incorporate them into a card. So I have pulled out this pattern. This is actually the front and the back here, and I love this Old Olive and Cherry Cobbler in this tweed, and then of course this background. So I've decided to use that today to create our card. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a pretty simple card to make. The designing is simple. The coloring and embellishing is what you'll spend most of your time with, which to me, that's the fun part of the card. So let's go ahead and grab our cardstock. So I've grabbed a scrap of Early Espresso, and all we need is a base that's 4 by 4¼ by 5½. So I have this already half sheet of paper, so I'm going to just grab it. This is a great way to use your designer series paper and your scraps. So you could actually make 4 cards on with one sheet of paper, which is really nice. So this is our base, and then our card will fold on top of this base. So it's just a little bit different. We're going to have a base with a mini card on top, basically. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our cardstock for our mini card, and that's going to be 4 by 5½. So I'm just going to go ahead and again grab the scrap. This is a scrap here, so we're going to do 4 by 5½, and then we're going to score it at 2 3/4, which will be half. Okay, so that is our mini card, which is going to go on top of our base. I'm going to grab my bone folder. I always like to give it a good press as I'm cutting. It just works easier for me. All right, and now we want to do the designer series paper that's going to go on the base. So I have decided to use this gorgeous paper. I love it. So it's going to be 6 by 5¼ So let's see, I think this is 6. No, it's bigger than 6. So I am going to do, let's see, 5 1/4 because I want my lines. You want to figure out which way you want your pattern. I want my pattern to be this way. So I'm going to do 5 1/4 by 6. And then you're going to score it at 4 inches. Okay. Easy enough. All right. And so then when we fold it over, we get all this beautiful contrast. Okay. So this piece is going to go onto our base. Now, if you wanted to, you could make it just slightly smaller and add a layer, another layer of color to the outside. But I'm just going to keep it simple because sometimes you just want to have a simple card. All right. So now we're going to create the panels that are going to go on to our mini card. All right, so we're going to want 2 pieces that are 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. So I have already cut one, and I did this in basic white, and I embossed it with the brick, the exposed brick 3D embossing folder. And then you're going to want a second one for the inside to put your message. So let me grab a piece of cardstock because I don't think I have any more little pieces left. So again, that's going to be 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. And that's going to be for the inside. Okay. So we've got our front and we've got our inside. And then for some actual kind of fun interest on the left, we're going to go ahead and cut one more piece of designer series paper. That's totally optional, but I think it'll be fun. So we're going to do one more piece that's 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. Let's see, we'll do 3 3/4, just using my scrap to the best of my ability because we don't want to waste paper. We want to have fun with it. All right, and so that's going to go on the inside. So that's all of our cutting. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. I don't even have my glue open. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to apply this designer series paper to our card base. A little bit of liquid glue. And we're just going to center it up as best we can. And I got a little glue, extra glue on the outside, but that's okay. That's what I have this handy dandy little adhesive eraser for. We'll clean that up. No sticky residue. All right. So there is that. So now we're going to work on our inner card. So we have our inside and our outside. I'm going to go ahead and put this piece in because we're not doing anything with that. And that's just going to be centered right inside. And again, this is optional, but I think it's kind of fun to bring that pattern to the inside, especially with this cool paper. All right, that looks good. Now, we'll go ahead and put this front on and then we'll start decorating. I love this 3D, this this exposed brick embossing folder. Can't talk and glue at the same time apparently, but I really like the texture, and either side of the embossing folder looks great. So there's that. All right, and then this is going to be the inside, so we're going to do some stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cherry cobbler, and I'm going to add for the inside, "You make my life better just by being in it." I love that, and I'm just going to make this a nice little any day card. So there we go. And give that a little cleaning because I don't like to leave my stamps not cleaned because I tend to forget I didn't clean them, and that can make a mess. So there's this cute little butterfly stamp in there. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple little butterflies just for fun. They're going to just fly around my card. Put one down here. All right, clean that off. And actually, while we have that black out, let's go ahead and grab our panel. This is just a scrap panel, and I'm going to ink up the beautiful flower in basic black, and I'm just making sure I get a nice coverage. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. And then I have one more because I want to show you two different ways you can do this. So I'm also going to stamp it here. Let's go ahead and clean it off because I want to give you options today. All right. So for our little butterfly, I'm just going to grab my Stampin' Blends, and I'm grabbing that same cherry cobbler, and I'm just going to mimic the colors of my card. So I'm just keeping this super simple. And then I'm going to grab my old olive, and we're just going to give it some old olive wings. So it's more like a little moth. And of course you could do any colors, obviously. But I wanted to pull in a little bit more old olive since we stamped in cherry cobbler. Has anybody received stamps yet in the new packaging? I'm just curious. I love the new packaging. I know I talked about that in a prior video. Look how pretty that is. So very simple. I love how much less space they take up than the boxes. Super excited about that because for me, space can be an issue. And I do have a lot of stamps that have retired that I need to get rid of. So I'm really excited because I'll get more space. And then of course the new packaging is very spacious. So here is the inside of our card. We're going to go ahead and just put this in here in the middle of our card. And then we'll start decorating the front, and I'll show you what to do with that. As you can see, the Joy Fold is just an easy card to make. So I'm making sure that I like to do it this way because I can see exactly where the center of the card is. But I'm just sandwiching the middle of the card with the middle of the mini card. I cannot speak today. With the middle of the base. And then just making sure everything's straight. So see how pretty that contrast is? I just love how everything is pulled together. And that's why I love Stampin' Up, because everything matches, which is important to me. I love that all of the colors match. All right, so the first way you can color in these flowers is by just simply grabbing that background stamp and matching them up and stamping. And I'm not standing up, so I'm hoping I get this straight. So you can do that. You could also stamp off and make it lighter if you wanted to. And then here is our middle. Let me go ahead and close this up. So if you don't want to color in with your Stampin' Blends, this is a great way to do it. Now I'm going to show you. Where's my scratch paper? Well, I don't have any scratch paper out, so I'm improvising. So you can also just, let's see, this lines up about like that. So I stamped off, and then I'm just going to stamp down. So you can color your flowers like this, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of an abstract to it. Or you can take your Stampin' Blends and color that way. So we'll go ahead and do this one that way so you can see both ways. And it's really up to you. They don't always give you the background like that, and I love when they do because you have options. You can stamp off. You can add color with your blends. Just lots and lots you could do. I could also just take a sponge dauber and just make this totally abstract if I wanted to. Lots of options. But at the end of the day, what I love is everything matches. All right, so I am just simply coloring that in. And then I'm going to grab my cherry cobbler. So that was Old Olive. And my cherry cobbler, I'm just coloring that in. Now this is great if you want to make sure you get everything colored in. And if you want to do some shadowing, some shading, then this is what is great about the Stampin' Blends. So there's that one colored in. So here's the difference. So this is a little darker because I didn't stamp off and I just stamped straight on. And then this is lighter because I used the Stampin' Blends. And then you can go in with the darker and just add some extra detail if you want. I'm just going to maybe add some extra on the vein of the flower petals. And that's where you get that darker shade. So if you're stamping, you're just going to get one shade unless you stamp off. But if you're coloring, you can kind of adjust it a little bit. So I'm just adding a little bit of the darker. And then when it's dry, let's do the brush tip. You can just go back over all of it and it just smooths out any harsh lines. I really enjoy the coloring. Okay, so that just makes it a little more interesting. And we'll do the same thing with this piece. So you've got two different looks there, but it only takes minutes. And then if you wanted to go one step further, you can go ahead and take the color lifter and lift a little bit of color out if you want to. I usually like to clean it off a little bit. And then you could even do that with the leaves if you wanted to take a little color away, make it look a little more rustic. Or it adds light. It adds kind of a natural light to it. So there we go. So either way, looks super pretty. All right. With that said, let's go ahead. I'm going to grab my little mini cutter because we've got to obviously cut this out. So I've grabbed, we'll grab the flower die. Let me grab my little plates. My well-loved plates. I really need to buy some new ones. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. And I use the Post-it cover-up tape. I love it because I just use it over and over again to just kind of tack that in place. Okay. And we'll send this through. So there's our little flower. And we could actually, you know what? I never thought about having two, but let's go ahead and cut both of them out and have two. Why not, right? Let's see how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on. I need a second piece probably, but we're just going to go with one. It holds pretty good. When they stop losing their stick, I throw them away and get another little piece of tape. And I need to do that with this one. Down to one little strip. All right, so here's our other one. So maybe we'll use them both. We'll see. We'll just put it right there. All right. Now, we need a little flower pot for it. So remember those little scraps we had left over from cutting? So I have grabbed the flower pot. And I think it's just big enough. So we'll go ahead and cut out a little flower pot and we're going to match that designer series paper. So there's our little flower pot. All right. Get this out of the way. So now we can create the rest of our card. So this flower pot, this little flower pot, could totally hold two flowers. So maybe we'll do that. It didn't even occur to me to be able to do that. So, all right. So I think what I'm going to do, let's get this die out of the way, is I'm going to glue my stems first. I'll put the light one on the front and the dark one on the back. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue here. So the neck of this vessel is thin. So we want to make sure it fits. We don't want them floating around, right? That would be kind of weird. So that looks good. And so now that we've got that in place, I'm going to go ahead and grab some dimensionals. And I'm just grabbing some scraps. And I'm going to anchor my two pieces that I glued. And then I'm just going to use these little scraps, because why not use up this sheet before I start a new one, right? These are also great when you have weird shaped pieces. So use it all. Nobody knows what it looks like on the back. All right. I'm just making sure everything is balanced. And I'm kind of tacking the two flowers together at the same time so that it kind of just adds some extra reinforcements. All right, that looks good. And I use scraps. All right, let's take all of these off. We have had, this is a funny story, every day, somehow, and I suspect it's through some vent, we get flies. And I think that they're coming in because it's cold outside and they're trying to warm up. And so they come in and it's cold enough that they kind of go to sleep. And so every morning when I come in here to craft, they all wake up and there's a whole bunch of flies and I have to swat them all. And then they're gone for the day. And then the next night we get a whole bunch more. It's pretty much driving me crazy. So look what I did. I did it backwards, but that's okay. It matches. I was going to put my red on the outside, my cherry cobbler, and have this as the back. But you know what? It all works, so it's fine. I actually think I might like this better. All right, so there's our flowers. Look how simple that was. And all we need to do is add some embellishments. So with the tweed, I feel like we need something more earth tony. So I grabbed these pecan pie and clear dots because I had them. So I'm going to put two of them here. Let's see, we'll put one right here, and we'll put a big one over here, like that. All right, so that is pretty cute, right? Should we add a piece of ribbon? Let's go ahead. Why not, right? I'm going to grab my scissors somewhere. And we're just going to make a simple little bow with some white ribbon. Cherry cobbler would work too, but I'm just going to use this white. I feel like we have a lot of color going on, so white is just fine. Trying to make my bow actually pretty because I am not a bow tire. I need to get one of those little tools that help you tie bows. I've seen them. All right, let's trim this up. And I like to add a couple of glue dots to my bows. It just helps anchor them. I usually put two. I just feel like it helps anchor it better. And I'm gonna just put it right here, like that. All right. Look how cute our card is. Very simple to make, a great use of this paper. It's fun. You've got the floral, but then it's not too flowery because you've got that beautiful tweed. You open it up and it says, "You make my life better just by being in it." I love that, and I love the sweet little butterflies. No extra postage. It's very thin, so it's very simple to make. A joy fold is always such an easy card to make. So there is one. Let me show you what else I've made. Here is one with the beautiful, what is this called? Brushed with Beauty, I believe. It's a brand new suite of products that are online exclusives as well. And that paper is just gorgeous. It says, "You've been on my mind." I used a little die cut piece that I had extra in my case and just popped it on there. But look at this paper. I love flowers and stripes. They're just so pretty. And then the front, I just layered. I die cut a bunch of the greenery that's in the Stamps and Dies and die cut it and just created this kind of cluster of flowers and just simply says, "I love you." And if you wanted more room to write, you can write all over the back of this. So very pretty card. I love it. I'm going to be making some more of those. And let me show you, you can make a joyfold in a different way. This product is so much fun. Let me see if I have it handy. If you haven't seen it, and if you are one of those people that makes lots of birthday cards, this is the Candy Day or Cake Day dies and stamps. So it's a bundle, and it makes all these, it has all these pieces to make the cute cakes. You can make them any flavor you wish. Lots of great sayings. The die actually cuts it so it's like a card, but then there's rings, there's meringue, there's decorations, there's so many, there's candles, there's a little banner, there's so much going on with this. I love this bundle. It's a lot of fun to play with. So instead of creating the mini card, I actually die cut the cake and made the cake the mini card. How pretty is that? So I used some retired glimmer paper here, but everything else is designer series paper. This is, what is it called? Well, I will look it up because you know me, I always forget the names of all my papers. I can never seem to remember what they're called, but I will have it in my blog. But I made the cake with pecan pie and early espresso and then very vanilla for the meringue because the paper has very vanilla. Just stamped yay. Let's celebrate. And the way I created this inside is I die cut one of these shapes in the pecan pie, but I also cut it in basic white and trimmed it down so that I could write inside of this because this would have been dark to write on. So that's what I did there. It's totally optional, but how cute is this? It's just a card somebody's not going to expect when they open it up. So there you go. There is Joyfold cards made from brand new products from Stampin' Up. Well, products that came out in November. I guess they're not that brand new, but it took me a while to get them to you in a video. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already and hit that bell to remind you of when my videos post. And there's a link below that takes you directly to my blog for this card. And I will list all of the products that I use to make each one of these cards. And there'll also be measurements so that you can make a Joyfold card as well. I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper. I hope you have a fabulous day. Stay warm. Enjoy this time of the year. And I will see you next Wednesday with another video. Thanks for joining me. Bye.